here I am in the hospital, waiting to be taken down to get a heart cath. I may have some blockages, so if I don't make any more videos, it's because I'm no longer around. This video is me and my experience with getting a chemical stress test and heart cath and about anxiety. Sorry it's so long. I will put times in the description below of the different procedures I had so you can skip to them if you need to. Stay to the end for my detailed drawings of the procedure and a review of the Gustyle Handicare Bidet DooDoo Blaster. Thank you. Well, like the sign says, I'm still here. I didn't die getting the heart cath. And I'll sit here and explain a little bit of what happened to me and what they did and all that junk. For those inquiring minds that want to know, and I figured I kind of do this as a, if you're going to have either a chemical stress test or a heart cath, you kind of will know from just an everyday Joe what happened. And this may not happen to you, but it happened to me. Anyway, let's just get to it. Well, what happened was early Sunday morning, about 3 a.m. I woke up, and I've done this numerous times over the years, but it's been worse the last few months, and I think it's just all the junk personally and junk going on in the world. All this junk is I forgot to turn my mic on. Hang on. Okay, hopefully that is a little better. Yeah, basically what happened, I woke up and blah blah blah. Anyway, and I've had this like panic attack things before. I think I don't want to go into a whole thing, but I think I pretty much have had some form of anxiety my whole life, even as a kid. Now that I think back, but from school and the way I hated school and would basically almost make myself sick before I'd go to school. A lot of it, I don't know, just on and off through life or whatever. I don't know, a lot of people probably have it and they don't even realize it. Anyway, it's probably one of the most undiagnosed illnesses there is, probably. And mental illness is a weird thing, especially years ago in the 60s, 70s, 80s or whatever. You didn't talk about mental illness too much. But anyway, so yeah, I was kind of having one. I could feel it coming on or whatever, and I went and took a leak and come back, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take one of my lorazepam, which is the same as Ativan or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna take one of them and try to go back to sleep, calm, whatever. And usually it works, And so I took one and it was waiting, in a few minutes, and usually don't take but about 10 minutes when I start feeling the effects of it. But anyway, so I started but it just progressively started getting worse. I was like, man, I just don't feel right. I mean, I didn't feel right. I didn't feel the same. So I was like, something don't feel right, And so of course, that kind of makes you start wanting to panic more because you can't get to calm down. And if anybody's ever had one or whatever, sometimes you get so worked up that you start coughing almost where you're going to throw up. You start gagging or whatever. And sometimes that kind of resets you, at least it does with me. Sometimes the gagging, you get to that point. Sometimes it almost like resets you or whatever. I've had that before, And so I got to that point several times, and it wasn't helping. And so I got my blood pressure thing. I got one of these little wrist blood pressure things I've had. I started taking my blood pressure. And at first it was high, but not extremely high. And so I kept trying to calm down. I couldn't. And then I started having this sharp stabbing pain right up under basically my left tit area in my chest. And it was like this, every time I'd take a breath or whatever, it was like, and it was like hurting, I wasn't having, people talk about your left arm going numb, all this kind of junk. I wasn't having that. yet. At least and I wasn't. So, but I was thinking, okay, I may be in the beginnings of a heart attack or something, and so I kept going. It kept getting worse. I kept taking my blood pressure. It kept going up and up and up, and of course I'm thinking I'm about to die, and of course then you start even panicking even more because you're thinking you're about to die. And anyway, I got my son. I got hold of him, and anyway he uh, come and trying to talk to me and all this stuff, and it just kept going up. And finally, when my blood pressure was like 190 over like 98 or 100 or something like that, which it's, I check my blood pressure all the time, and usually it's way low. I mean, most of the time my blood pressure usually is when I'm just sitting around, usually like below 120 to maybe 125 over sometimes 65 to 75. So going that much was and it kept going higher and higher. And so I'm thinking I'm about to have to die or whatever. So uh, he decided to take me to the hospital. So I get dressed and get up to the hospital, and I'd kind of calmed down a little bit by that time. I guess just the drive and adrenaline or whatever, I don't know. So I'd kind of calmed down some, because then by then time I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm getting over this. But of course, I've never had a heart attack before, so I don't know. I'm like, well, maybe it comes in spells. I don't know, And and I take a baby aspirin all the time too. So I was like, well, I didn't even think about taking another aspirin or whatever. But and I've always told myself, okay, if you feel that coming on, freaking take an aspirin or whatever. And but it just totally didn't go into my mind, to take an aspirin. I just taken a baby aspirin just 3 hours before or something. I always take it at night. And so anyway, we get to the hospital. They take me in, blah blah blah. They get me back there, and they're checking me and stuff. And my blood pressure had come down, and I guess they were checking me, and they were asking me questions, what was going on, what happened, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And of course I'd settled down a lot by that time, but I still had that sharp pain when I take a breath. I had that sharp pain, and I kept telling them that. They like, okay, when but they start checking stuff or whatever, and they finally decided to. They gave me a bunch of aspirins, like I don't know, 4 or 5 baby aspirins. They gave me some. I'm taking lisinopril for high blood pressure, but it's the reason I take it is for my diabetes. It's only 10 milligrams. They claim it's something about lisinopril helps with diabetes, with your kidneys, or something like that. I don't know. They say they prescribe it because it helps keep your kidneys, I don't know, from getting bad or something when you're on metformin. I'm on Jardiance for diabetes or whatever. It's not real bad. My A1C, actually, I had just been to the doctor just a week before, and my A1C was 6.7, which is technically diabetic, but it's up 6.5 is when they consider you diabetic, whatever. So it's not super high, whatever. And maybe probably because I'm keep it more or less under control, whatever. Anyway, so they gave me, I think, a lisinopril and these baby aspirins and stuff. Anyway, they decided to check me in the hospital. The doctor came in and talked to me, blah, blah, blah. He goes, we're going to go and check you in or whatever. So it took them a little while, whatever. They finally got me to a room. And they came in, talked to a doctor, all this junk, and they decided that they want to they come in, and so they told me they want to do a chemical stress test for Tuesday, because they want to see, they shoot you up with something, and they basically, instead of having to run on a treadmill or whatever, it kind of imitates what like basically like you're running on a treadmill or something, or fast walking or whatever, you're going on a treadmill. When they do a regular stress test, they incline it and let you walk for like 10 minutes or something like that. Well, this is kind of a process, but you have to anyway, they were telling me what it was. I mean, they kind of told me, you're going to do this chemical stress tomorrow, that kind of junk. We're going to keep you overnight. We'll get you down there or whatever. They didn't know what time and all this kind of junk. Well, of course, I'm worked up about that. They're giving me stuff for anxiety and stuff anyway. So I was, wasn't too bad, And well, the next day they take me down. Can't remember what time it was. but I couldn't eat or drink nothing from like midnight before, and it was pretty late when they took me down. I can't remember. It was like noon or something, and he took me down to get this, or it was before noon because it takes about 3 to 4 hours. Because basically what they do is they come in there and they give you a shot in the room, and of course I had an IV in me and stuff, and they they gave this first thing, and they wait a little while. She said that she'd be back in about 15-20 minutes to take me down. So they wheel me down there after about 15-20 minutes to this X-ray place room thing, and they had kind of told me what was going to happen. I also have a brother-in-law that has had both of these, and he had told me what to kind of expect, So I go down there, and the guy was super nice that was doing it, and he knew I was about to have a freaking panic attack because I have a real problem about claustrophobic kind of stuff. I used to not at all, but now I do. It's like, that feeling when something's, like smothering you basically or whatever. So he said this thing is going to come down. It's like an X-ray. It's going to basically for 8 minutes. It's going to sit there and watch your heart basically at resting. So they want to see what it's doing resting, and then they want to do the stress test thing. Anyway, so man, that thing comes down. He goes, it's going to come really close to you. It doesn't go over your face, but it's like right here, and I mean it's like an inch away from you, man. And it's a big old sucker too. And it's real slow, going crazy. Anyway, starts it up, and man, I was like about to freak out, and I said, man, just keep talking to me, man, keep talking. So he started just talking about, talking about bull crap or whatever, and so anyway, it does this thing back and forth, whatever, a couple times. I don't know. I just kept my eyes shut the whole time, trying not to think about it as he was talking to me. I didn't want to look at it or whatever. A couple times I kind of creaked my eyes open, and it was like right there, and so it'll kind of freak you out. But anyway, got done. It raises back up, and he goes, "Man, you did good," blah blah blah, So they wheel me back to the room. He goes, "We're really backed up. It's going to probably be noon." But no, that's right. This was 8. Yeah, this was like 8 o'clock in the morning. He goes, "It's going to be probably noon or later before we can do the second part." I'm like, "Crap, man," because I was like, "Oh, man," So get back to the room. You wait until they finally going to do the chemical test part. So they finally take me down to get that done, and they take you down to another room, and they kind of explain to you what it's doing. But we had to wait on this. They have to, down here, I don't know if this is in every state, but in Louisiana they have to have a nurse practitioner there to monitor you and whatever they're doing. But they bring me down there, they put you on the table, and he finally comes in there, and he's, they're going to inject this whatever into you, and he goes, "You're going to feel this weird feeling," and he goes, my brother-in-law told me the same thing. He goes, "You're going to feel like you're on a roller coaster." And they kind of told me the same thing. You don't feel like you're on a roller coaster. He goes, "But it's not going to last very long." And so I'm laying there, and I'm talking to him, and he starts asking me questions, my name and birthday and junk, and I started anyway. So she injects the stuff into me, and I felt it go in. It's this real warm, weird feeling, and I mean, I think he was asking my birthday, I think at the time, and I literally just, from what I can remember, I just kind of went, ugh. I couldn't even get it out, whatever, It was a super weird feeling. I don't really consider it was a roller coaster, but I've never really been on a roller coaster too much. I mean, even when I was a kid, but so I don't really know what that feeling, but it's just this, I don't know, it was a very strange feeling. Some people say, it's like it's supposed to imitate like after you've been running for, a while or whatever, you really got your blood pressure high, all this up, heart rate up and everything. And I don't remember feeling like this, but anytime I used to run or whatever. But anyway, about as soon as he got through telling me, I was, and he started asking me something else. He goes, "Look at the screen." He goes, "You can, see." He goes, "You did real good on the first spike of it or something, And he goes, "It's looking good." About that time, just about that quick, it seemed like within 10-15 seconds, I was coming around, and was coherent again. And the whole little thing from the time they injected me to the time they got me basic off, it was probably 2 minutes. And that's what he told me. It probably would take but a couple minutes. But it's all the other stuff, you know. Then they get you done and wheel me out. I was waiting on a couple other guys. They were doing a couple other people too at the same time in other rooms, but they were going to take us all at the same time. Anyway, back upstairs they had to wheel me to the X-ray thing now, you know. So they take me back to that thing, and of course now I kind of knew what to expect or whatever and stuff. So they got me back up on. They bring you up under the thing and the thing, and he was talking to me, and I kept my eyes open the whole time. Then I was looking at the screen he had there, and I was kind of junk, had some funky design thing going on or whatever. It was supposed to be my heart, I guess, but it was just a fuzzy looking thing to me. But anyway, and it went a lot faster, it seemed like, and I didn't have near the panicky feeling or whatever. But finally got done with that, you know. Okay, he got done. He's like, okay, you're gonna probably know something in an hour or two. And that's what my brother-in-law told me, and that's what I read. It said usually they know the results in an hour or two after the doctor looks at it or whatever. Well, I get back to the room and waiting. Like I said, this was probably, I would say 2 o'clock or so by this time. Get back to the room. The whole process for me took about, from the time they first injected me, the first thing, they take me back to the room, blah, blah, blah. That was probably 3 hours for me. They said anywhere from 2 to 4 is what the whole process takes. And anyway, so I'm waiting. My son was there with me. He stayed with me the whole time. And we kept waiting. I kept asking them, you know, hey, they're busy. Thursdays is the busiest day for doing this, blah, blah, blah. They'll get with you. You know, it kept going on like that for hours, you know, and finally it started, you know, by nighttime, I asked them again, and well, by that time I knew nobody was going to tell me nothing after about 6 or 7 o'clock, you know, because ain't no doctor working after that, pretty much. But anyway, so I pretty much give up on it. Well, of course, you know, I'm kind of panicky about it. I said, give me some more lorazepam. You know, they were also giving me well, I can't even think of the name of it, something with a BUS in it, something, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so all night long I was, you know, freaking out, kind of like what. But the one nurse comes, she goes, I seen the thing on it. She goes, I'm no doctor, but she goes, I didn't really see nothing bad on it, you know. And I said, okay. So that kind of made you feel a little better, you know. And also the guy down there said I did real good, and you know, stuff. So I wasn't thinking too much. I was thinking, okay, probably okay. But then again, they're like, why ain't they coming back to tell me anything when it's supposed to only take an hour or two? So I'm kind of freaking out all night long. Anyway, the next morning, you know, my IV was hurting, and it was bugging me. You know, this was on the third day now, my IV, and it was really starting to throb. My hand right here on my pinky and my second finger right here was going numb and stuff. And they come in and they try to, let me see, blah, blah, blah. Like I was kind of, the people were really nice, you know, but she was like, I don't know what that could be, you know. And she goes, you know, you ain't feeling nothing else. She checked me, you know, you ain't having no feelings up here. No, no. She goes, maybe pressing on a nerve or something. She goes, and I said, she goes, I'll check in and I'll see what they want, the doctor or whatever. And I said, okay, well, where is the freaking doctor? I said, you know, you know, this was like 9 o'clock, you know, in the morning. And I was like, and nobody's told me jack crap. I started to get kind of mad about it. I said, I wasn't mad at her, but I was like, you know, I said, what is going on? I said, you know, it's supposed to be an hour or two. And I said, it's been like almost 24 hours now, you know, and nobody's told me crap. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, well, they're just busy probably. And I'm like, well, that's not an excuse. I mean, well, anyway, she leaves, and about 10 minutes later, this young doctor, he works for apparently the main doctor at the hospital. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, he comes in, he goes, nobody's talked to you about this? And I'm like, no, nobody's told me nothing. And the day before, let's see, Tuesday, after I'd, Monday afternoon, the heart doctor had come in, and he was the one that said he was going to do the stress test first or whatever. Okay. So, he had kind of looked at me and joked, you know, asked me questions, blah, blah, blah. That was Monday afternoon. And he's kind of he's from India or something, and he's kind of hard to hear, and he's wearing a mask, and you couldn't really understand him, whatever. But more or less, he had a secretary. I mean, nurse practitioner with him, and she kind of was helping explain stuff. Anyway, so hadn't seen him at all. Anyway, this was a different guy. This actually he was a young guy. He's like, man, I ain't talked to you at all. And I said, no. And he goes, man, he goes, somebody's dropped the ball on this. He goes, they haven't explained none of this to you. I'm like, no. And then I said, it's been almost 24 hours. He goes, man, he goes, well, I'll tell you what, they found a couple of spots of concern, is what he said. He goes, couple things on there, and the only way to know what they are is to do a heart cath. And he goes, we have to go in there, they shoot some dye in the heart, they look around or whatever, and if they see anything, if they see blockages or whatever, they're looking for blockages or whatever, over a certain percentage, which is, I found is like 60%, they'll put a stent in there, which is apparently a little metal thing or whatever that they put in the artery around it or whatever to keep it from clogging up anymore. And then he puts you on blood thinners usually. That's what my brother-in-law was telling me. And that's also, I read about it too. I mean, I read it later on about it anyway. So I said, got to do that, to see what's going on there. I was like, man, do I have to do that? I mean, I was like, I'm so sick of being here already, And he goes, yeah. He goes, because, we don't know. While you're in here, you might as well get it done. We already hooked up everything. Just like, or whatever. I was like, all right, whatever, So he goes, we'll schedule in for in the morning sometime, which would have been Thursday morning. So I asked him, I said, what about this IV is driving me nuts. And, so he goes, yeah, okay, I'll tell him to take it out. They can just put it back in either tonight or in the morning before you go down. I said, oh, great. I said, because it's really bugging me, So he leaves. Literally, I'm right across from the nurse station there, and I figured he went out and told him, but after like 2 hours, I kept like, hey, did he say anything, about taking his out? No, I don't know nothing about it, And so I'm like, literally, I said, he walked right out. I just told him, I mean, I just told him. And finally, I don't know, it was like 12 or 1, I think, that they finally come in there and took the IV out. And she said they'll probably want to put it back in either probably tonight. They'll probably want to do it tonight, but not in the morning, because I said, okay, whatever. I'm not there to tell them what to do or how to run their crap, So I'm already like been out of shape because it took almost 24 hours to tell me something, and like apparently they dropped the ball. Like, well, that's great for y'all, but for me, I had to sit here for almost 24 hours, not knowing nothing, And now you're telling me I got to do this, And if they'd have told me the hour or so after I was in there, they could have probably scheduled a thing for Wednesday morning, and I'd have been done, Instead, I had to stay an extra night, all that crap, So, it, kind of pissed me off, and not anxiety, but also mad, So anyway, they get the IV out, fine, whatever, And of course, I'm very, very excited, panicking about this Heart Cath, thing, because I mean, I'm like, they basically do something down there on whatever side of the heart they're going into, and on basically between your leg and your abdomen, they go in there to an artery on one side or the other, and they run this metal thing up in there or whatever. I guess it has a camera or something in it. They shoot this dye in there, all this junk, whatever. So I kind of had to read up on it. My brother-in-law had told me about it, but anyway, so I was like, God, man, it was kind of freaking me out. So they gave me some more meds or whatever. Anyway, after a few hours, I kind of calmed down. But anyway, well, that goes on overnight, and they never came back to put the IV in me or nothing, And I'm thinking, well, because the guy told me, he goes, we don't know. Thursdays are the busiest day to do these things, and we don't know how long it will, when you'll be in there. Of course, since they're scheduling me late, probably the other people are ahead of me. Whereas I'd either got it done Wednesday or I made it a bit early Thursday morning, but they didn't know when I was going to go down anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever, And so that morning, I do my thing. I can't. Oh, you're not supposed to eat anything or drink anything. Not even really a sip of water, but after midnight, and of course, most of the time they're figuring you're going down at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but I didn't want to, so I really didn't drink nothing after about 9 or 10. They did come in about 11 and gave me something else for anxiety, so I could sleep, I guess. But they said just take a little sip of water to swallow it, basically. Okay, so basically, okay, now anyway, that morning I'm waiting. They haven't come in to do the IV. I mean, I'm thinking, well, crap, man, it got to be close to 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I mean, okay, I done went 12, 13 hours now without drinking nothing. I'm like, my throat's raw and all this stuff, and so finally they come in like these other people come in there. Okay, we're fixing to take you down. I'm like, okay. I said they still haven't. I said they never come in and put the IV back. He goes, why don't you have your IV? And I'm like, well, it was hurting yesterday and they took it out and they said they would be back, before I go down to get it put it back in. I said, I might, I'm not the freaking doctors and nurses, They're like, crap. What the crap, So they're getting a nurse in there and she's like, why do you have the IV? And she was like, I don't know, like, what, getting all confused and stuff, and she was really nice, but anyway, she's got to get the stuff and they're waiting on her, and like they're impatient because, they got to get down there or whatever. Everybody's lined up in a certain time or whatever. So she's up there and she was really nervous about, because she goes, man, I hate doing this. It's like under pressure, to like, get this IV going, Anyway, they stuck at me in this handle this time, and anyway, she got it in there, and it wasn't no big deal, and stuff. So they got my IV going. Well, then they're going to get me in the bed. Well, they go to try to mess with the bed. That was the other. Oh, I forgot about this. They had also did a solid, not a sonogram, but what do you call it? Where they put this thing on, like with pregnant women or whatever. I can't remember what they call it, but where they put the stuff on and they rub it. They had done that Monday night. The guy come, he was super funny too. He was super nice, but he had done that. That kind of hurts too, man. They really push on you really hard, And I guess trying to get that thing to, it took him about, I don't know, probably 20 minutes or whatever for him to do that, Well, he was having trouble getting the bed. I could raise the bed up because that's about the only way I can sleep. I gotta be tilted up, and but he was trying to raise the bed up to a higher position, and the feet would raise, but the head wouldn't. He messed with that thing for 15 minutes before he started doing the thing, because he's a tall guy, and he's like, man, I need to raise up so so he can reach me better or whatever. He tried and tried getting that thing to the bed to raise, the whole bed except for just the feet. I mean, one time he goes, sometimes if I raise up the feet, he goes, some of these beds, if you raise up all the way, then the head will come up, So he raised up, and I'm like, dude, I'm fixing to fall off. I was literally fixing to slide off the freaking thing, head first into the wall or whatever back there. I was like grabbing hold of the thing. And so anyway, he lowered me back down. Anyway, he did the thing, and ultrasound, that's what it's called. And anyway, he gets that done, and so they knew about the bed. I mean, apparently. Anyway, well, they come in there, and these people that are going to take me down are trying to raise the bed up to get me in the bed. Well, it won't raise. And they're like, what's going on with it? I said, oh, the guy, them others, it won't raise up, just the feet. What? I said, is that important? He goes, yeah. Well, you can get up on the table down there in the operating room. He goes, but getting off, we have to slide you off onto another table, so we got to have them even. It's got to, and this operating table is high up apparently. He goes, we got to raise you up, and he goes, and you kept to be kept flat. That was the other thing about thing. That was the part that was kind of freaking me out, because they said you have to lay almost perfectly still for 3 hours. You can't move or your leg or anything at all. You can't raise your head up. You got to be laying flat, and for like 3 hours. And that's like, are you kidding me? That's like, that's like a lifetime. It feels like not moving and stuff, And so anyway, they couldn't get the bed. They worked trying to get the thing working or whatever. They finally had to go get another bed. These people that I think they work for, well, I guess they work for the hospital, but they basically just do this part anyway. they were pissed off or whatever, but caused all this, because not only the thing wasn't in me, now the bed hadn't raised, it won't raise, so I had to go get another bed, all this junk. Okay, sorry, my camera went off. It's been 30 minutes. So they wheeling me down there in the bed, and they get me down there and slide me up on the table, whatever, and it's like an operating table, stuff, and start tucking me in and all that. I knew they were going to shave me down there, and sure enough, and I feel them like that, and they drop. I have to put one of those little things on, before I go down there, and they go to buzzing it down there. I mean, they buzzed it, baby, like a cleaner than a baby's butt down there. I mean, it's like all the hair off, and so they do that, and they get my arm. They say, can't move, blah blah blah, this kind of stuff. Once they start giving us stuff, finally the doctor comes in there. They say the one guy, he's going to give me a thing of Benadryl and something else. I'm not sure what it was. He goes, you'll still be awake. He goes, but you ain't gonna, he goes, some people sleep, some people stay awake. And I said, okay. And he goes, you'll just be super drowsy feeling and kind of out of it. And he goes, they'll give you a shot down there. You won't really feel nothing. I said, okay. And so he gives me that. And, of course, I start feeling drowsy and stuff. But the doctor comes in. I never seen him, but because I couldn't lift my head up. But he's like, hey, I'm here, blah, 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 here. He goes, I fix it to give you a shot down here to start knowing. I felt that. It was kind of a sharp sting down there in my stomach area or whatever. And I felt that. And then not a minute later, he starts to go, going in on whatever he does down there. I guess apparently they make a little tiny incision, I guess, or maybe just a shot, almost like a IV or something. I'm not sure what that they stick in there, but you can't, like, when you look at it, when I got home, when I pulled the bandage off, I mean, it would look like maybe like about as big as when I had IV in my hand. When after they took it out, and you can see where it was. That's all I could see. But anyway, he goes there. You don't feel nothing. I was thinking I was going to feel something going around in my heart and all that stuff, but I didn't. I stayed awake the whole time. I could feel him working down there. You feel this kind of tugging and stuff down there. I assume he's running the thing in and all this kind of junk. But anyway, it didn't take long. I mean, it wasn't a few minutes. It seemed like to me. And they were like, okay, we're done. Blah blah blah. And they get me back on the table and on the bed. To wheel me back. And you said, don't move. You can't move. Don't lift your leg. Blah blah blah. Don't raise up. And what it is, you basically, since they go into that artery, what I read about, something they'll put a stitch sometimes in there or a plug. I don't know what the difference is, but they do that in the artery, and you can't move because I guess they don't want that. They want that artery's got to fuse back together or whatever. I guess is what it does. If you move, it's liable to tear it or something. Bleed to death, I assume. But so anyway, I get back to the room. I'm out of it. My sister and my son's there, and they talking to me and stuff, blah blah blah. And they kept coming. They kept doing a blood pressure thing on me. It kept everybody every couple of minutes, man, I think of pressure up and all this junk. And you got a lot of junk going on while you're in the room. Stuff with their monitoring and stuff. But after that was for about the first hour, and after that, they make y'all to make sure he doesn't move his leg or try to raise up or anything like that. Move his leg. So they made sure I wasn't moving or whatever, and they, so basically after about an hour, they just set the blood pressure thing where it, wasn't going off, but about every 10 minutes or something, maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And that's the way it went for the next 2 hours. I kept coming out of it. After about an hour and a half or something, I was pretty much feeling fully out of it by that time. Of course, you kind of want to be in it because, you're under something because you're wanting to move, And I don't know if you could realize how hard it is not to freaking move for 3 hours, but it's pretty difficult. Go lay down on something flat and try not to move for 3 hours. I could move my arms, so I could scratch my face or, scratch something up here, so long as I didn't raise up, or move my legs down there or whatever. And my left leg, I could wiggle it a little bit, you know. They said you just can't you can't try to raise it, you know. And so anyway, after 3 hours, you know, they monitored or whatever. He told me, he goes, if everything goes, you know, I'll sign the thing. And the doctor would come in. He goes, I'm gonna go ahead and right when I got in there, he goes, I'm gonna go ahead and sign the thing. And he goes, we don't find nothing. I said, you didn't find nothing? He goes, no blockages, no nothing, no stents, no nothing. And so I'm like, okay. I wonder what's going on now, but you know, of course, I'm already thinking, you know, it's probably the anxiety. It just got worse. You know, I've been thinking this ever since I got in there, basically, and but I didn't know for sure. So anyway, he says he's gonna get my release and stuff, and yeah, finally I got out of there by about, I mean, that was over with at 1:10, the 3 hours, and literally by 2 o'clock I was out of there, and yeah, came home, and the whole thing afterwards, they don't want you to drive or don't lift anything for a week. Uh, so that's been kind of a pain, you know. I can't do, you know, hardly lift anything. I think they just don't want you to lift anything very heavy, you know, probably over 5 pounds or something. I mean, it's okay to lift this or whatever, you know, but in my phone or whatever. But I'm talking about you can't lift anything, you know, like 5 pounds or something, you know. And driving, I assume, is because if you're driving and you go to brake, and say it's an emergency, and you go to move real fast and try to brake real hard, you might can bust something loose down there. And they probably go 7 days because just to be on the safe side, you're probably okay after 2 or 3, technically. And right now this is Sunday, so that's 10 o'clock Thursday, so it's been 10 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's been 3 days, a little over 3 days since I had it done. So, but I have it kind of was sore. It feels better. Like when I go to try to get up or whatever, you know, I kind of feel a little bit, but it's been no big deal. I didn't. I took the bandage off that night and kind of looked at it, you know, and I've been keeping some Neosporin down there just to kind of make sure. They didn't tell me to do anything, you know. I got to follow up with my doctor this Wednesday. But when I talked to this guy, I said, "What do you think was up?" He goes, "Probably what you had already talked." Because I'd already talked to the young guy a little bit about the anxiety and stuff. He goes, "Yeah, that's probably what it is. Something to do with that." And that's basically all he said. You know, okay, we ruled out the heart stuff, and so now it's just whatever. Go talk to your doctor, basically, whatever. So that's been the ordeal, and like I said, it's I'm taking another anxiety pill, that bus thing or whatever. I haven't taken a lorazepam since I've been taking that, but I've been just splitting it up. They didn't really tell me to do this. My primary doctor had actually prescribed this when I was over there a week ago, a little over a week ago now, a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago, whatever. It was on a Tuesday or Wednesday when I was over there. Anyway, she had prescribed this stuff, something Buspreon or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, and so I just been breaking them in half. You can break them in half. It's 15 milligrams. You can break them in half, she said, whatever. So I've been taking one in the morning, one at night, and it seemed like I've been doing better with that, at least the last few days. So I go see her Wednesday, see what's going on. You know, I don't know if she'll prescribe me anything else or just blah blah blah. You know, sometimes they don't really do much of nothing. You know, I don't know. So we'll see about that. But anyway, I'm just glad that now if I start having another one, and I'm thinking I'm fixing to have a heart attack. Well, I'm probably not because I don't have any blockages, and you know, my heart's strong. I mean, my blood pressure's been great. You know, everything. You know, I mean, my blood pressure, like up there, was running generally 120 or less over 60 something. You know, 65 and 70 or whatever, so 75, kind of like what it does here. But so blood pressure's been good, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it's not nothing else. And anyway, but yeah, you know, I brought my little board out here. Other than put that little thing at the beginning, I was gonna like draw some designs. I was gonna like, okay, this is your leg, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, this is your leg, and it comes up, and here's your other leg, and and here's your crotch area, and they shave this, and you gotta lay still. This is where they go in at, and they come up here, and here's your arms, and here's your heart, bump, 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 bump. And they come in, I was gonna do all of this. I totally forgot because that's what I do. I don't, I forget. But anyway, here's what happened. And I did fart some, so there was some farts coming out, and I don't think I had too much particulate. And oh, that's another thing I was going to talk about too, man. I I bought this thing back 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I had this thing called ischemic colitis. I was bleeding out my butt. I have a video about it. I'll link it on here somewhere. I'm talking about that. But anyway, uh, but they did a colonoscopy. Well, the night before they give you all this crap, and you're crapping your guts up. And well, you're stuck up. I was stuck with an IV. You can't wipe your butt hardly nothing up there with IV stuck in you and all this kind of stuff. So I did the best I could. Well, and I don't care. I don't care even if you're home or whatever. You can be the whatever. When you wipe your butt, you're basically just smearing crap around more or less. I mean, you get most of it off, but I don't care. I don't care how good you do it without water. You're gonna have dingleberries and debris and whatever still stuck to your butt cheeks and crack hole or whatever. And so I had bought this little thing after that, and it's over there and I can't reach it right now. But it's basically I'll put the link down in the description because it's really coming really freaking handy, and it's basically a electric bidet, and it runs on two little AA batteries, AAA batteries, and basically it has this little thing. It comes in a little pouch and all this kind of stuff. Nobody knows what it is. And we take it out, and it's basically you take it off. You take one end off. It's the reservoir for water. You fill it up with water. You cover it. You put it on the end of it, and it has this little fold out wand on it, and you got a high and low switch on it, and so you can just bend over or go in from the front, whatever you want to do, and man, you can blast it. Put that thing on. I swear, you put that thing on high, and I mean, you are blasting crap. I mean, you're blowing it out of there with pressure. The low pressure probably work for like girl or whatever if you just want to rinse off the coochie, but for that butthole, you need to put that thing on high where you're blasting that crap. Oh, I mean, you're just blowing it out of there. So I mean, I think I'll shoot a stream too, boy. And but anyway, but yeah, you can manipulate it. It has a little fold out wand. It's really stupid handy. I mean, you can wash it off. I mean, every time I get done with it, I just wash it off. And once you run, so hopefully you're next to a sink or whatever, which I was right next to. I could just fill it up with some warm water, and that way I didn't have to use cold water. But I assume if you're somewhere, you can just bring some bottled water with you. Probably a regular bottle of water. You could probably fill it up twice or whatever. But really, one time is pretty much all you really need it for. And but yeah, I really blast the doo-doo off of there, and no wiping, and it gets you clean. You feel refreshed and all this stuff, just like a bidet. Which I don't own a bidet, but I always find it strange that almost every civilized country in this world, people use bidets. But for some reason here in America, we all depend on butt wipe. I think it's a money thing, because butt wipe is like a huge industry. I mean, you buy tons of butt wipe, you flush it down the toilet, you like just flush. Whereas if you had a bidet, you just use a little bit of water, so it's like pennies, probably a month, maybe 50 cents a month or something you use to whitewash your butt, instead of using, what is a freaking roll of toilet paper now. I mean, I know I buy some cheap stuff at Walmart, and it's like for four rolls of it, it's like $5 or something for Scott tissue or something like that. It's like $5, so it's like $1.50 a roll or something, for freaking, you're just gonna flush down the toilet. But you can literally buy this thing. I don't know how long it'll last, but like I said, I used it up there, and I used it one other time here just to try it out, but but so far, other than maybe bringing some extra batteries and, make sure it's clean, make sure you dry it out and stuff. I always run all the water out of it. you know, let it dry out if you're going to let it sit up or whatever. But it's pretty well sealed up and everything. But I'll put a link. You can go look it up if you're interested in it. But it wasn't that much either. I'm thinking it was under $20, $15 or something. Maybe not even that much. But they were really handy, you know. But I assume you get one of the squeeze kind too or whatever, and those help too. But this one electrical battery operated is super nice. But and I'm not sponsored by this, which I need to be. But anyway, I think that's all I want to talk about. Yeah, I should have diagrammed that for y'all. You know, it almost looks. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what it looks. I'm not going to describe. I'll just kind of show you what it looks like because I don't have to move my camera and stuff to go over there. But basically, it's this piece that looks like that, and then there's this piece that is hidden down there. It's a little wand with a little thing on there, and you can fold it out into whatever position you want. Okay, once you get it, say you got it at this position here, then blast out like this, you know. And here's your butthole, and DooDoo's going everywhere. Anyway, but like I said, there's this little clear plastic piece that it fits over this part when you got it without using it. But then you unscrew it, it just comes loose, and you put it down here. You fill it with water, then you screw it on down here on the bottom, and then, so you got the reservoir here. And of course, when you're using it, you're like this. So the water is coming down into the pump, and it's a little electric motor in there. It runs on batteries. And then the DooDoo blaster is down here, and it's blasting the DooDoo, and you know, debris falling into the toilet, all nice and safe. And yeah, so that's that. And this video, I'm not probably not gonna do a whole lot of editing on this video because I'm just talking the whole freaking time, and you know, I don't feel like it. So you can sit here and watch this whole thing or fast forward through it or whatever. I try to do that thing with YouTube. They have this thing where you can put timestamps on it. I tried that on a couple of videos, but it won't work with me. I don't know what it is. They gave me this stupid warning back 3 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever about a video. I was just watching some people throwing up and like, you know, basically talking about how gross it was or whatever. Nothing nasty about it, nothing, whatever. And 3 years later, and it had like 50 views on it or some crap. You know, they gave me this warning. They took it down and gave me this warning. And I'm like, why did they give me this warning? I wasn't doing nothing, you know, other than just watching, you know, picture, you know, screen thing, whatever. And so they gave me this warning, and it never goes away. The warning never goes away. It stays on there apparently forever. And so I still have this warning, and I don't know if that has something to do with it or what. Because they say you can't do you can't do this timestamp thing if you have any strikes or anything like that. Well, I don't have any strikes, but I have this warning. But it never goes away, so I don't know maybe the reason I have it. I don't know. It's just stupid. But and when I try to contact them about it, I send them a thing. You know, like what is the deal? I said I looked up the videos, and the videos I watched are still on there. You know, so it's like they didn't take those down. There was some people blowing snot rockets and puking. You know, and I'm like. It was like making me gag and stuff, but I mean, I didn't throw up or nothing on there. It's like people are doing it on the screen, but they didn't take them down. They pull mine and give me a warning, you know. I don't know what the crap with that is, but anyway, so that may be the reason. Anyway, I gotta get off here. Anyway, like, subscribe, hit the blah 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 that button and crap if you want to, and like I said, I may try to split this up into 2 videos. Part 1 and part 2 or something like that. I'm not sure if you're even here still right now. Whatever. Thank you. Whatever. But anyway, I think I've said everything I want to say. If I didn't, I'll say something in another video or something. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.